from football fans everywhere, Dennis. Thank you. He was special. Sadly, the last of the Holy Trinity to leave us. What made him special for me, Andy, was that, and you've used the phrase many times, I'm going to rework it.
Right.
He wasn't just a great goal scorer, he was also a scorer of great goals.
Great goal. He was all of that. He was my hero. He was my first ever hero I had as a kid. Growing up in Glasgow, we didn't see much football live on television, but because Denis was playing for Manchester United and Scotland, and some of the goals, the goalie header we saw there against England that he scored at Hampden, that was the goal that set me off as his wanting to be like him. When I started out, I wanted to be Denis Law. Sadly, I never achieved that, but for obvious reasons, he was just and do you know what they always say, Keys, and you must have, they always say, sometimes don't meet your heroes, because you're often disappointed when you do. Not with Denis. I mean, I met him when I was at Villa, mid-70s, for the first time, face-to-face. We had a chat, and he was just as, and we met him many times as we've gone on through the years working, and he was just such a great guy.
And on the pitch, it was his elasticity, I think. There was nothing that wasn't a chance if Denis was around.
Do you know what he was as well? Hard as nails. Him playing in this era, where people like Best, Law and Charlton would get targeted every game they played, and get scythed down and get attacked by defenders. He played through that and was looked after himself as well. So don't make any mistake that Denis on the pitch was all niceness. No, he wasn't. He was as hard as nails and could be nasty. He was the whole package.
Sadly died yesterday, aged 84, after a long battle with Alzheimer's. Denis Law.
This posted by Manchester United mourning the loss of Denis Law, the darling of the Stretford end, who has passed away. Manchester City also posting their regards and their respects and tributing the great man. And of course, Nicky, you know plenty about this play. Played at City with your dad in the 60s. Not just a teammate, but a real close friend of your dad's and the family. I mean, what springs to mind when you think of this player?
Well, just a character. I mean, this is, over the days now, you'll realise what a superstar and what a legend and an icon Denis was. You'll realise how big he's right up there with the top of him. Ballon d'Or winner. He's. I mean, I'll talk about. I've been fortunate enough because of the son of my dad to be in situations with all these famous people and taking it for granted. You know, I've met him outside of Old Trafford and walked into the ground and to see what the fans are like, to see his blonde hair, spiky hair, and you do know why he has spiky hair, don't you? Because, well, not he doesn't have it, it's because Rod Stewart has his hair spiky because of Denis Law. And to see how
and everyone else during the 70s and 60s.
Yeah, and he had this. He was a superstar without wanting to be one. Right. The way he played football, he was very aggressive. He had every attribute. I'll give you a couple more stories just to try and put a bit of a smile on. I mean, my dad, where we used to live, he used to want the garden to be like Wembley. So we took a lot of pride in it, and he used to have his mower, he used to like the lines in it, and one day he'd been out there all day trimming it. Anyway, at night time, Denis came round the house, it was dark, there was no lights up, and just went and drove the car right onto his garden and left it. Trying to get it off with all wheels spinning everywhere. And there was another one as well. Him and Dad, they went into London once, and it was the summer, and they had the sunroof broke down in Piccadilly Circus. Everyone's beeping, everyone's having a go. So what did he do? He managed. He stood up, turned around. He said, "Do you think I want to break down in Piccadilly Circus?" And everyone was like, "Ah, it's Denis Law." Blonde hair, no. And he was a character. And every time he saw Dad, no matter where he was, if he walked in the room lit up, because he just had that personality, that class. He had his glasses on, sunglasses, could be snowing outside, straight over to my dad, and they didn't used to shake hands. He just used to bring him forward and just kiss him on his forehead straight away, and that was a relationship what they had.
Can you imagine him today with social media, because he had the style as well, didn't he?
Before
like
all your Beckhams, all your people like that, he had his style, and what a player he was. And just watch and read everything about him and learn all about him if you don't know.
You mentioned the humble beginnings he came from, that he didn't have a pair of shoes till he was...
He had his brother's hand-me-downs when he was up to 6 years old, and then he didn't get his first football boots till he was 16.
Wow.
He had a problem with his eye, where when Huddersfield took him, he had to operate on his eye, and the people what knew him before Shankly looked at him, and what did Shankly say? I've got here. He said he could dance on eggshells, and he wanted to take him to Liverpool, but just Liverpool wouldn't pay that extra bit of money. But you're talking right up there. And when I say right up there, this is a legend of football, and it really is, and it's so sad because he was himself. And when I say aggressive, he was as tough as anybody. He used to come across when defenders used to want to take you out of the game, and he used to give it them back constantly. There was one which I don't know if it's right for me to say what he used to do.
Go ahead.
Is all of a sudden you're looking at a corner. If he had a bit of a problem with the centre half, he just used to whack them quickly. And by the time they got up, he was on the halfway line and nobody knew any different. So we had everything. Yeah. And what he used to do as well in training was, if he used to do shooting from the edge of the box, he never used to get involved with it. He used to stand 2 yards away from the goalkeeper. If it spilled, he was on it. He'd just jump on anything dotted around, and you look at the goals there or what he scored, it's how he reacted. And it's a sad day. It's a sad day in Manchester because he played for the two clubs, and in the world of football because this man was a huge name, and what a player he was as well. So it's
iconic,
really sad.
aren't they?
Absolutely. The influence they have on the future generations, that players today probably have a bit of Denis Law that they've seen from someone who's then copied a bit of Denis Law. You know, that it's a knock-on effect.
I find it sad because, I mean, we've just seen snippets, you know, you don't...
Those pictures.
Yeah, but there's not enough.
Yeah.
You know, they're in black and white, the camera angles were terrible, you probably only see them at their best in finals when, you know, when it's probably played on the telly, and you don't see enough of them, but the stats, you know, what they've produced are phenomenal. But I think you look at he was a maverick of the game, wasn't he? Like you said, he had a bit of style, he had something about
Absolutely.
him. You know, and when you're in the game, that generation, which obviously is well before us, you know about them. Like, obviously I played for Jack Charlton, it's sad that he passed and Bobby passed, Dennis, George Best before the two Charlton brothers, and slowly, you know, that we've lost them one by one, but when you remember them, you only realise, wow, when you see the numbers, how good these players were, because we don't have the footage, and it's such a shame. But I had the privilege of meeting him once or twice, and you know, they are humble characters. They come over and give you your time.
Gentlemen.
And they're gentlemen of the game, and that's how they were brought up, and they never lose that. That's one thing I noticed about that generation. They never lose who they actually really are.
Yeah,
It's lovely.
Proper people.
Proper people,
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Can be tough, but ambassadors of football, that's what they are, everything about them. But just saying, even like the likes of Kenny Dalglish, it's his hero.
That's his hero, yeah. Dennis was his hero.
I think they're both joint top goal scorers for Scotland. But
Andy Gray's hero, he's talking
but
about.
Dalglish did it in 100 games or something, and he did it in 55.
Wow.
So you've got to read up, and you have to, if you go to Manchester United and you see the statue there, and he has two statues, understand about it. Don't let these people, don't let them fade away, because they put too much involvement. He is Mr. Manchester United. Yeah. So you'll see some real special times of how they respect him in the world of football.
Absolutely. Sad day, isn't it? The king of the Stretford End. He's passed away aged 84 and leaves quite the legacy.